Okay, my name is Richard Hurai. I work as head of Lean department for YIT Slovakia. We are an urban developer and construction company in one, which is fantastic because we can influence even the design of the building which we are building. Today I'm going to talk about Lean in construction industry and why. Because I think that our industry is in front of a huge revolution. This is one of studies which shows us how has major industries developed over the last 70 years. As you can see, agriculture raised its productivity 16.1 times, manufacturing 8.5, and wholesale and retail 8 times. But construction, is the orange line on the bottom, is on the same level, really. We have new materials, we have composites, we have beam, drones and everything, and we are still on the same level. Yeah, we have it all, but we still use it very little, but this is gonna change. The curve is gonna rise exponentially. To prove that this study is still valid, even today, last month I went around one construction in Bratislava and I was amazed of how people still work on some constructions. As you can see, they are pulling one brick, really. 2021, 5th October. So this study is still valid. I'm sure they would be happier if they finish the work in half time and spend the rest of their time with their families. But who knows? What does it mean in numbers? If these examples didn't answer your why, maybe this one will. I will show you one of studies. This source is down on the slide, which shows us that due to poor planning and management, we are flushing a great part of our potential profit down to the toilet. Imagine average contract for 10 million euros. It is well-known fact that of total cost, 40% represents labor cost. Other costs like materials management, equipment and so on represents 5.6 million euros. And the average net profit of construction company is 4%, or in this case, 400,000 euros. If we only improved blue-collar productivity by 10%, which is a really achievable goal by using lean tools, we would save another 400,000 euros and double the profit. But the interesting part comes now. Studies shows us that the potential lost labor hours due to poor management is 33%, and by poor management I mean double handling, rework, bad communication, poor planning and so on. We are flushing another 1.3 million euros. If we could save only 15% of those 33%, we would save another 600,000 euros, and the revised net profit would be 1.4 million euros, not 400,000. That is 3 times bigger net profit, which we can share with our employees or invest to innovations. Okay, is it possible? Is it real? Another study shows us that from the total time of construction, only 40% is real production. Other time is wasted by waiting or unnecessary movement. The key is to identify the waste in construction, because if we focus on improving things which already somehow works or provide any value to customer, we are able to reduce time by around 10%. So if you imagine the construction of average duration 25 months, 40% spent by productivity, as I mentioned before, is 10 months. So if we save this 10%, we could save just 1 month of the total time. However, if we can identify waste of the construction or non-value adding activities, we can easily reduce the time by 20%, and nobody has to work harder or faster. We just stop doing things which don't provide any value. Like, for example, I hate when I see qualified electricians which have to cut grooves into brick walls or walls to concrete walls to make space for wiring, and then they have to clean all the debris from the floor they produced, and only then they can start install cables. While we could maybe by changing the design of the building create natural space for installations and let the professionals do the professional work. Okay, but how to identify non-value adding activities? We have to examine the process, the whole process step by step, and we did it on one of our construction. We used the basic lean tool called value stream mapping, and we examined easy example competition of bathrooms. So we divided the whole process of this competition into small tasks, as you can see in the squares. And then we focus on each one and try to identify what is not necessary to do. And our initial assumption was that the total lead time of completion one bathroom is 22 working days, and production time is 26 or 27 hours. So that means the activity ratio is somewhere around 15%. But is it really true? We decided to verify our hypothesis, and we installed photo traps into bathrooms, and we watched what was happening, and we found out the brutal fact that only 9.3% of total time were somebody in the room and created some value. The rest of time were the room empty, and the total time was not 22 days but 64 days. I will not go deeper. You can find the whole study on my YouTube channel. I will go next. Okay, how to make those numbers better? Should we give to the workers better tools? Should we use different materials? Of course, we could, but we would improve the whole process maybe by the 10%, because we would improve only things that already somehow worked. But the activity ratio from the previous slide opened our eyes. Only 9% of the time were somebody in the room. So I was curious how it looks like on the rest of the construction. So I asked my intern to visit each apartment every day and make notes which contractor worked in it. This Google Sheet has conditional formatting. You can see that there is a lot of white space. It means that a lot of time is wasted by not doing any activity on the construction site. And the whole construction industry looks like this. And I have to say that we, despite the fact, we managed to finish the construction even faster than we planned, and we considered this plan in the beginning as ambitious. The solution was to using another lean tool called Takt Time or Takt Planning. So we created very detailed time schedule for each participant which worked in the bathroom, and we focused on the occupancy of bathrooms. So we didn't let the bathroom wait for workers longer than was necessary for drying. And by doing that, we reduced the total time by 46 days and increased the productivity 3.3 times. And I have to say that electricians nor plumbers finished their completion of equipment on time. So if they did so, the productivity would be even better. Okay, for those who don't know, I will briefly explain the basics of Takt Planning. Most important thing for Takt Planning is to have the same pace of each process. So here you can see that process B and process E are much faster than the other ones, but it strangely don't help to finish construction faster, because process B cannot start right after the A is done on the first floor, because soon they would collide together, and the same pace with process E. If we make those processes longer, then we can shorten the whole construction, because the process B can start immediately after A is done on the first of 3 sections of the first floor, and then the C can continue as well. Here is another view. Here you can see that process B from 30 days to 60 and process E from 30 to 90. Okay, is this time schedule or Gantt harmonized? Have the processes the same pace? I don't know. And Gantt can be even longer. You have no chance to see the time-space dependencies. We need something easier. So we started to use LastPlanner system, which I call like maybe 3D plan, because it provides us what and how much should be done, in what time, and where should be done. And you can compare it to other processes as well. Here is the LastPlanner, which we created from the previous shown Gantt, and immediately you can see that each process has its own story. It is mess. So we couldn't change the history, but we could change or reschedule what was in front of us. And from this state, you can see that the processes are in harmony. Here just another example of another construction, still a lot of white spaces, mostly the time needed for drying. But from the first side, you can see the plan is more tidy, and from my experience, more tidy plan helps to have more tidy construction as well. I show you also how has LastPlanner helped us to find opportunities to shorten the time needed for creating foundations. So we turned or transformed Gantt chart into LastPlanner, and it looked like this. And then we invited our subcontractors to a session and asked them for their experiences and opinions on how to make this plan more effective. And the name LastPlanner is because we are planning from the backwards. It is full planning method. And why we are planning from backwards, it's just because if you plan from start to the end and you see the end of the construction somewhere far away, you tend to create much bigger buffers than is needed, while when you plan from backwards to the start, you really put only necessary buffers. Okay, so we invited our contractors, and after the transformation of the Gantt into LastPlanner, we identified very fast that in this dark gray area, we didn't plan to do anything, and this is pure waste. So we identified also some dependencies, and then installation workers told us that they can start the reinforcement guys after 1 day, not after 3, and they are also used to start the carpenters on the same day as they do. Then we asked another contractors for their opinions and rescheduled all the processes. And then we identified from where the whole new constellation can start. And we just moved the whole constellation to the new position. Then small adjustment due to weekends. And we saved 12 calendar days out of total 43 days only by listening experienced professionals. That means 28% time savings. Nobody had to work faster or harder. We just changed the plan. We just saw the opportunity in the plan. I listed here a couple of benefits of LastPlanner system. The first one is that if you have 10 professionals with 10 years of experiences, you have 100 years of experiences. Imagine you have the best site manager. He can have, I don't know, 35, maybe, 40 years of experience, and then he is retired. And compare it with the situation when you have in the room only 10 people with 10 years of experiences, but the best professionals, because they are doing their work every day. I have no chance to know better of how long does it take to install air condition than the guy who is doing it every single day. So this is the biggest benefit, that we are creating the plan together, not only one guy. Then who affixes the sticker feels obligated to keep his promises. It's different when I tell you that you should do this on that time, and it's different when you tell me, and because you promised me, you feel obligated to keep your promise. Then suppliers are more independent, so site manager have less stress. You know the situation, like the electrician guys comes to you and say, oh, we cannot continue because there is stored windows where we should install cables. So, okay, you are going to guys who install windows and tell them that they should remove them. Then you find again electrician guys and tell them, okay guys, in 2 hours you will have your space prepared. No, this is not going to happen anymore. They will talk together each morning and they will solve their issues by themselves. Then suppliers respect each other more and do not destroy the work of others, because on the morning huddles they are establishing friendships. They start to know their names, so they respect more and they feel like they really don't want to destroy their works. And the supplier also can plan better the deployment of their capacities, because they see what will happen on this construction in time. And we do not repeat the same mistakes. And how? We're just evaluating works on a daily basis. We are meeting every day with our subcontractors and we are asking them if yesterday's work were done or not. If yes, we cross it twice. If not, we are asking for a reason. And the crucial thing is to categorize the reasons and count the occurrence. For instance, lack of material, lack of workers, or untidiness, or project errors, or just poor planning. And after a while, we find out what we have the biggest struggles with, so we can focus on it. So, for instance, if we find out that the biggest reason of our deviations from the plan is untidiness, we are using the method 5why. So we ask so many times the question why till we find out the root cause. We don't just remove the consequences, we have to remove the root cause to not repeat the same mistake. So let's say the most common reason is untidiness, so we ask, okay, why is always so many debris on the floor that next trade cannot start on time? Because cleaning takes us too much time. Okay, why it is like that? Because garbage containers are too far away. Okay, why? Because you don't have a construction elevator to use the big trash bins. So we have to move all the debris in small buckets through stairs. Okay, now we know that saving money by not installing construction elevator wasn't a good idea, or we at least can install the debris tubes into windows and make the worker easier to clean after themselves. Next thing which we are doing LastPlanner sessions is counting the PPC, or in other words, percent plan complete. It is the ratio of how many tasks of the last day were done to the how many were promised. And why we are counting PPC? Again, to learn from our mistakes. If we create graph from PPC in time, when planning the next project, we can easily see in which phases of the last project we had the biggest struggles, and then we can focus on this phase. Let's say during superstructure we had the biggest struggles, so we can examine what tasks we planned during this phase and which reasons of variances we encountered. So we can focus on that and remove it in advance. Then we can also visualize the reasons of variances. As you can see here, the biggest part of pie is poor planning, so we can again examine by using 5 whys. Okay, why we have poor planning? Because we don't have a database of durations of processes. Why, and then we remove it. And we also can visualize our subcontractors, which have the biggest struggles with keeping their promises. So again, then we can focus on those which have the biggest occurrence and help them with better planning or different stuff. This is our first paper, LastPlanner. Since then, we improved it a lot, but we are still missing something which would help us to keep history, to connect with BIM, collect data about durations, because no one wants to search between hundreds of photos of paper LastPlanner when searching for valuable information. We need something where we can collect the history. And no, Excel is not the solution. Try to move tasks in Excel and you will see the mystery of ruined formatting, and especially when you let 20 people to edit one file. I'm curious what will Andreas show us tomorrow, and thank you for your attention. If you liked my presentation, please support me by subscribing to my YouTube channel, and I'm ready for your questions.
Thank you.